Hello, I'm Carolyn Holzman, and this is Confessions of an SEO. Do not worry. You've come across the least SEO podcast on the planet. No interviews, no FOMO, just maybe not today. We're going to chat a little more about the helpful content system. So why must we chat about it again? The reason is, to be fair, a lot of the industry is in a cult. And that is turning out to be my favorite description of what we do. Okay, welcome to Season 4, Episode 12 of Confessions of an SEO. If you're a business owner just tuning in, if you're looking for the most sane conversation about the helpful content, you've come to the right place, as long as you aren't looking for a magic button. I do have one little confession to make, and it's about that. You know, I talk a lot about how many in our profession are almost pathological when it comes to grasping for things that they are told will make them rank on page 1. I understand, we're marketers. I know as such that we understand that everyone is on their own radio station. WIIFM, right? What's in it for me radio. And I get that. However, I don't feel that we as search professionals have to live on that dial. I think we miss a lot when the only thing we're willing to think about is things that we're told will make us rank on page 1. Like I said, I think we miss a lot. And frankly, it makes me a little irritated. And when I say a little irritated, I mean really a lot. Some things are fundamental things, fundamental methods, fundamental approaches, and I believe they have to be expressed. Our industry doesn't get any better if we don't work on the basic fundamentals. And that means we have to get comfortable when we hear things we do not understand when we hear them the first time. Yeah, I think, this is just my opinion, but it's my show and I get to say it. I think we've been mollycoddled into thinking that if new ways of thinking and approaching SEO industry issues and solutions, if somebody doesn't chew it up and spit it into our mouths, if it's presented so that we don't have to do anything like think, it's kind of like then people don't view that as being worth anything. And I just want to make sure I said that right. Because I think if we expect that we're not going to come across something that we don't understand, we're in the wrong industry. And if we aren't required to think, maybe that's the thing that's not worth anything. And I guess ultimately it's like, my question is, where's our gumption? You know, I heard some people discussing someone else's product launch this week, and it was kind of laughable. Not the product launch, but what passed as an assessment on the product. Apparently showing people how to do something and yet encouraging them to continue to test things around it was a knock on that very product. And it kind of disgusted me, but it speaks to a larger dis-ease in our industry, where if we have to bring anything to the education table, like if someone offers to show us how to do something, if we are required to bring our brains, that somehow whatever they're saying has no value for us. You know, that if we can't provide background and fundamentals in a way so that the recipient doesn't have to turn their brain on, kind of like we might as well not do it. It kind of encapsulates everything that I think is wrong, and not just our industry. But, you know, I'm in this one, and because you're listening to it, you're in this one probably too. And so for us, it feels like a front row seat. It's like this concept is everywhere, but is that a reason to not push back against it? Now, I know I'm sounding like that guy in the movie Network. I'm mad as hell and I'm just not going to take it anymore. So obviously you can see now why I did not pursue a degree in K through 12 education. Okay, I think I got that out of my system now. All right. Now, before I get into this week's topic, this episode is sponsored by Magic Mind, and they produce productivity shots. And in these little drinks, these little shots, they use science-backed ingredients, which also has a very slow release caffeine that they get from green tea. And now I think of it kind of like an energy shot that doesn't make me feel jittery. They do have a 100% money-back guarantee, no questions asked, and I am on it pretty much every day. It's so good that sometimes I forget to take it, and then I'm like, I still have a lot of energy and stuff to go into the day. So it's really great for me. We're all about optimizing our content, and for me, I'm at the stage where I feel like I also need to optimize what I put in my body. So check it out. It's magicmind.com/confessions. And if you like what you see, I have a coupon code for you. It is Confessions20, and it'll save you some money. All right, so this week's topic, the House Fresh video series with Marie was a lot of fun. It was so fun. I'm now sort of jonesing on a way to discover, what does it actually look like for a site that got hit with the classification of unhelpful content? You know, likewise, if one can get hit with an unhelpful designation, then it's also possible a site can be hit with a promotion. And it's site-wide either way. So that's kind of what I am going to talk about today. And before I get going on that, I also wanted to share that I'll be speaking at an SEO conference this summer. And it's the Rank Elevation SEO Summit. It's happening June 10th through the 11th this year at the Delta Grand Okanagan Resort. And it's in Kelowna, British Columbia. Yeah, that's Canada. So you can check out the speaker lineup. I'll put the link in the description. And there's also information on, what it would take to get there. The founders of Entity Elevation, Daryl Osborne and Clinton Dixon, they're going to be speakers. So you can get your Entity game face on. Stephen Kang will be sharing the details and the meat of his internal linking framework. And Patrick Tuttle and Gary Affron are going to share how they made it so you and I, can build Google sites using a clone of any HTML website. So if you're not using their G site builder software because you don't want to rank on page 1 because of how ugly a G site looks, you're really going to like what they have to say. Now, I'm starting some testing with them, maybe a little more formalized, bringing in some SEO testing style methods. So if you have any questions related to their software, my plan is to have a test for that. And when I was pulling all this down off of the website, I saw there's a new name added, Eric Christopher's name on the list. I know Eric, we call him E-Rock. He's a colleague from way back in the early days of the SEO Rockstars conference. Now, for myself, by the time of the event, a couple of things will have happened. First, there's an article in the works at Moz for them to publish my research on the helpful content system, what it targets and why it's different now. In fact, I think moving forward, I'm going to be talking a lot about how this is a new Google factor, the likes of which we haven't seen before. Up until now, we've kind of been groping in the dark and trying to figure out what it targets. And I'm going to be making the case for what I think it targets based on, wait for it, data. Not a talking head, but a bunch of tests and data that will be unpacked in the article, as well as the presentation I'm going to make this summer at the Rank Elevation Summit. So anybody who's there that's live will be able to ask me direct questions. And so if you're on the fence about coming to this conference, and you have any angst around the helpful content system, this conversation will be unlike what we've had to deal with up until now. The data is there, field data contributed by Marie Isaias, and I think the story is going to be refreshing as to how I came to see it for what it is. Now, starting sometime this week, I will be doing a new video series where I'm on the hunt for uncovering what it looks like for a site that probably easier to identify someone who had a demotion for not having enough helpful content. So it's going to be a discovery series. So if you don't like taking a trip, you're excused. This is really for me anyway, and I like the concept of doing it publicly. I did that with the indexation research for over 2 years before taking that to a paid status. So if you like sightseeing, I think you'll love what I'm going to try and go for. And hopefully we discover some cool stuff. I'll keep you posted. If you want to subscribe in YouTube, go to the channel Forensic SEO. And that's going to be the starting point. And of course, if you're like, I don't know, Carolyn, you can shoot me an email, confessions@AmericanWayMedia.com. Now, I think I really got hooked on this idea of exploration based on how much we uncovered in the House Fresh video series that Marie Isaias and I did. Now, ultimately, what is so ironic is that there are subtleties in the conclusion that I think are valid for more exploration. Now, last week's episode, I talked about it. You can check that out. I know I'm going to going back, and that's where I'm going to start expanding on those ideas at the end, because I think even recognizing a site that has been hit is going to be a skill. All right. Well, if you want to stay up to date on my helpful content research, get on the notification list. That's you can Google these words: search-driven insights on Substack. And the first result is in there. It's going to be search-driveninsights.substack.com. So put in your best email. And if you think you have a site that's been hit by the helpful content system, well, now it's baked into the core algorithm. And at the time of this recording, the core update was still rolling out, which means Google is still recrawling all of our content. So it could take a little time before it comes to your neighborhood. So if that's you and you feel like you got hit, send an email to confessions@AmericanWayMedia.com and put the words helpful content casualty in the subject line. And as always, if you want fresh out of the oven indexation data, check out Crawl or No Crawl on Substack. Thank you for being a listener. If there's any topics you'd like me to cover in April, you can text Confessions, and that number is 512-222-3132, and just type in your topic idea. Well, thanks again, and until next week, I'll see you in the SERPs.